You are watching the number one podcast in the whole entire wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
And I'm your other host, Sean Paul Leg.
And together we are Rosemary and family. Like Jean Paul and I mentioned yesterday, we're closing the year in every single wrestling company. So this is the turn of Impact Plus, another special, kind of like a pay-per-view. But like Paul was saying to me, too many matches for a show that like is not even worthy of it to be a pay-per-view. It's like something like, hey, it's like a Christmas tree from Impact. Final resolution. So this is what we have for you guys today. I think a lot of like storylines are starting to cook for what is going to be 2021. So Impact closes the year, one of their best years. So I want Paul's thoughts on this. How we doing?
Good. And, to give thoughts on this pay-per-view network special, whatever you want to call it, it felt like an Impact's version of like a really, really good Monday Night Raw. It was 3 hours. It was long. I thought it went a lot longer than I thought it would. I'm sure it went a lot longer than you thought it would. 9 matches. Way too many matches, first of all. That's why I said it's like a Monday Night Raw. But lots of good storylines coming from this, like you had mentioned, which was exciting. And Impact, I think, has had their biggest year, not only with the recent, partnership with AEW, but just all the new signees, new names they brought on. And Impact is, I heard a analogy, a reference to Impact being like a cockroach, which as in like it'll never die. No matter how much you try to kill it, squish it, drop a bomb on it, blow
up it and everything.
Yeah, they keep coming back. So that's how Impact's gonna stick around, no matter
what.
Yeah,
it's good. Like you said, the first year, a lot of new names. So thank you for all the love, for the subscriptions that you give us. You guys are give us the initiative. You guys support us, and you guys keep making us do this. So we love all of you. So thank you so very much for that. Don't forget to watch Smackdown review. Sasha, that's what Carmella is saying. You will never be at my level. Carmella is going to receive a push. And like Jean Paul mentioned, like there was like a report that just came out. They're going to have a match at TLC. So this match was just supposed to like close the show. They didn't have anything going on. This is why don't we give the championship match? So there you go. That's like the review. Don't forget to check it out. And, Jean Paul, let's start with the beginning of this pay-per-view or like extravaganza. Like you said, too many matches, but let's start like from match number 1, and that's Larry D and Tommy Dreamer in the old school rules match. This was like a little slow for me, and also they use toys. The storyline is decent, at least for me. I think that Larry D and he was the one that almost killed. What is his name, Paul? Help me.
Oh, Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, thank you. Johnny Bravo. We watch too much wrestling, like he says. Johnny Bravo. So I like this, but the speed of it was really, really slow. I just, at some moments it was insufferable. So I want to hear you what you think about it.
Well, I agree with you on that. But look who's in the match. You got Larry D, or Lawrence, as his alter ego is, for the one who wanted to shoot. I said the wimpy or Dollar General version of Karrion Kross. They look the same, a bald guy with a little goatee, but. The match was slow because look at these guys, Larry D and Tommy Dreamer. Dreamer's old, I love Dreamer, but no offense to him, but his age is catching up to him. He's not as skinny as Tommy Dreamer used to be, and Larry D. So the match was expected to be slow, and of course they have to do the old school or the no rules or whatever. So.
Rules rather, but
yeah,
for them to have a match, they need to have.
But I do like the story. It's just like, okay, you shot him, and he's just like, wait, so if I beat you in a wrestling match, I don't have to go to jail. That's legit. But Tommy Dreamer winning is cool. I like how Bravo came out after AC Romero came out, and he tried. And he tried to help Tommy Dreamer, and then he hit the double clothesline, and they no-sold it. Then they just hit him with the belly and stuff, and this was it was good just for the story, but match quality. If you're looking for a really good match or something, if you missed it, just watch Rope Break. You don't got to go back and watch this again.
Yeah, we saw candlesticks, we saw chairs, we showed tables. It was like seeing TLC. That we're gonna see next week. We're gonna close the year with WWE next Sunday.
TLC, but if it was performed by your two drunk uncles at the family reunion.
Yes, that's what it was, and I like a few spots that you said AC Romero going through the table, kind of like Johnny Bravo, what he did also, that was cool. Remember when he was trying to go for a punch, and then Larry just catches the one, and then he was for the other, catches the other one. He's like, come on, man. It was okay, but like you said, if it wasn't for Tommy Dreamer using the toys or anything, it would have been just worthless. a pretty sloppy DDT for the win, and Tommy Dreamer gets the match. So like Larry is going to jail. So I guess that's what the storyline calls for, and good storytelling by like Impact. That's what we gotta mention. So now let's move on to like tag team action, and that is the Sea Stars. This is like a brand new team. They they were part of the tournament for the Knockouts Tag Team Championships, and they're going against Havoc and Nevaeh. This was just a match that I guess is just to fill it, right? I just don't know what was.
But what do you need? You need filler on a show with 9 matches. 8 if you don't count this one. 8 other matches. No, I mean to this. No offense to any of the people involved in this. Obviously, Havoc, looked like a monster. I feel like Nevaeh didn't even do anything in this match, but and the other team, the Sea Stars. I mean, good for them. A little bit of a showcase, but I really didn't care for this at all. To be honest with you, I'm like, okay, like you knew who was going to win this thing, from the bell. Okay, I wonder who's going to win. But, this could have been left off the card for me.
Oh yeah, like it's just it's a way to kind of promote also the Knockout Tag Team tournament, because having Nevaeh, they're still advancing. They're going to be in the semifinals. They're going to go against Jordan Grace and Jazz, not Taz, and Jazz. So I think that's what they did. The kind of hype. We always mention that they need a match to hype themselves up for like a very important match. So like you said, towards the end, it was just like Nevaeh hitting like this sliding cutter, and that's how she got the win. Both of these girls are good. Havoc is a former Knockouts champion, so that's why they did it. And the Sea Stars, maybe in a few years we'll see them either on
I would have rather seen this show be a little shorter and maybe just have these two cut a promo.
Yeah,
that would have been better for me. But
or how about if we get this match for the next Tuesday on Impact? That would have been
exactly.
Yeah, so like there was pretty quick, good showing for the Sea Stars. They need that. So now let's go Paul to Tennille Dashwood and Jean-Paul Egg with a J. Caleb with a K going against the married couple Eddie Edwards and Alicia. See, match quality, this was a little like average for me. Tennille is decent. Alicia is a little green for me. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Eddie Edwards is of course a good wrestler, but like they don't have anything for him during the main event. He's not in the main event scene. He's still going back to that feud with like Sami Callihan. So that's how they did it, and it's the first time they actually show Jean-Paul with a J like wrestle. Or I mean, a Caleb with a K, but it was just like another filler again.
Yeah, hey, believe me, I wish I could be that close to Tennille all the time. So you keep making those jokes. I wish that was me, but no, this was okay. I mean, that's all it was. It was okay. I wasn't like, oh, this was awful, but it was only brought up from why is this on the show to okay because of what happened after the match. But I agree, Alicia, she's not good. But it's like no offense because she's probably one of those who's trying to get better. And how cool is it for Eddie Edwards to be like, oh, I'm in the ring with my wife?
Yeah.
So that's pretty badass. But I mean, Caleb, I like the whole thing, how he's just like a pussy. Like, he had the punch up and he dove in front of it and just fell, and they're looking at him like, what the hell is wrong with him?
The big one is like when he just dove and they're like, that was
like look at him like what? I mean, Tennille had her attitude and stuff, but I think the right winners here, for this match, have Tennille get the win. She looks good, to move are moving ahead for whatever they want to do with her, whether that's singles knockouts championship or something else. Because I don't feel like anybody likes her. Madison Rayne was like, oh, I offered to be on for her to be on my team. She turned me down. She screwed over Alicia. So, she's making a lot more enemies than she's friends. But like I said, to me, the only main thing is what happened after the match. But even so,
Sami Callihan was the one that caused the distraction. So that's how Tennille got the advantage. Then she hit like I think it was a knee. It was a knee strike. She hit that. And then that's how she got the win over Alicia. And like you said, Sami Callihan and the rivalry with Eddie Edwards is still happening. They're going that, like, remember, like 3 years ago when like he did that with the band and like everybody thought it was legit. It was not legit, but it was done perfectly, so people thought that. So I mean, it's like you have to resource to that because you don't have anything for Sami or for Eddie Edwards, so that's fine. So I mean, I think that like better things are coming up for Sami Callihan. What do you think of him as a legit heel? For me, that should be like your main heel in this promotion because Sami has like a lot of good feuds with like Tessa, with like Eddie Edwards. I will have him like be the champion a little longer, at least for me.
Yeah, I mean, he would, like, Sami Callihan is one of the guys where he is the top heel. He's almost like the Randy Orton, as in, like, he's a heel that when he turns it on, you really hate the guy. Like when Randy Orton was doing everything to Edge and Matt Hardy, like we really hated him. We're like, this is the Randy Orton of old. I think Sami Callihan is, he's in that state, but not Sami Callihan of old. That's just current Sami Callihan. But, they can't have him be on the top all the time. They got to have other heels. Like, okay, maybe we're pushing Moose right now. He's, I would say a heel, even though I like him. So to me, he's not a heel, but, they're pushing him as a heel and stuff. So he's the top guy. But it sucks for Callahan and Eddie Edwards because you got to think only a couple months ago, Eddie Edwards was the Impact champion.
Yeah.
and now they're like, shit, we don't know. And it was like, oh, wasn't Callahan with Shamrock? And, he was getting Shamrock ready for the championship. And it's like, is that, then that fell apart and done. And they're like, oh, we don't know what to do with these two main eventers. Let's just revisit an old feud. So that's a shame, but at least they're doing it well and they have that fire to make you feel like, oh, this is still legit, even though it's just a revisiting an old feud.
Exactly. So hopefully at least they get something a little better for 2021.
I was hoping he would have package pile drived Alicia, though. I'm like, that would have been badass. But security came out and I'm thinking, oh, maybe this feud will be over for a little bit. And like there's somebody new is going to come out, make the save, stop Callahan. But it was just security, so I'm like, oh, okay. It looks like this feud's going to continue.
It's going to continue because there's going to be two specials, in January. It's going to be Genesis on January 6th, and then the following week is going to be a Hard to Kill. So, Impact is like, the one thing is like they have, like you said, the cockroach. I like the analogy. They have all their names, they have all their pay-per-views, so they're going to keep, cashing in with them. So it is.
But the only thing about a pay-per-view one week and then the next, can we live?
Oh yeah, well, not good for Robert, for you and me, no, but like for everybody else because they watch the reviews, that's fine, Mm-hmm. So let's go to a match like another filler, like you said. This has not a place in like a pay-per-view. This could easily just be on Impact on regular Tuesday. It's Hernandez, one of the old school like Impact guys. I love it.
Yeah, LAX. I can't believe he's still going. That's legit.
Hernandez like 10 years ago, legit, and against Falaba, this was just this is a sloppy match also. But like the thing is like whoever won will get money from Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz. So that's what like the thing, and like they didn't have the money, so they're like backstage, right? What do we do? So what are we going to steal and all that? It's like, no, don't worry, we got it.
Well, yeah, they had the stack of money, and then Tasha was like, oh, I guess we're gonna give it back, and Kiera's like, what are you, stupid? You can't give it back. And they're like, oh, okay, we'll figure out a plan. So you knew going into this, whoever won wasn't gonna get the money. And that was the case, but like you said, it was a sloppy match. It was filler. And speaking of filler, Kiera Hogan filled out those jeans really nice. That's really the only thing to make note of in this match that I thought was worth a damn, because the in-ring action wasn't good at all. Oh, no. I mean, no, it was no offense to Hernandez, because I think Hernandez would be like still legit in a tag. You make tag to him, he comes in, he's big, he's strong. But I mean, look at Falaba. That's like, it's like Yokozuna. like let's be honest, he's maybe not quite as big, but he moves the same, does the same kind of shit. So I couldn't really get into this, and the story over this cash roll that was supposed to be used at Johnny Bravo's wedding. I mean, that whole Johnny Bravo's wedding story is mid card, and this is like mid card of the mid card. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, why is this even still going on? I feel like, again, the only selling point is Kiera Hogan's ass in those tight pants, and
as she was making the count, 1, 2, and she was working a little bit, so that's good stuff. That you and me were like, wee! That was the selling point of the match. But towards the end, just Hernandez delivered like a splash. He picks up the win. Alabai even do like bonsai from a Yokozuna, like you said. He couldn't pin him. So, I mean, like you said, filler. Do we really we're expecting a little more than that? Probably not. Hernandez, like we said, a little future he still has. Falaba, the tag that he had with TJP was like a lot better, but they didn't do that anymore because TJP is actually in different areas right now. We're going to be talking about TJP in like a little bit. So now let's go to something that it was cool, and like nobody was really expecting this. Eric Young was against Rhino. This was good, like with like Joe Doring. So this was really good. I think that the match quality was, decent because Rhino is still a good wrestler. Of course, he doesn't move as like quick as like before. He doesn't have the same like speed and delivery, but it's still okay because Eric Young also like his style is a little more paceful. It's not supposed to be really a fast match, but it was good. And then what happened after that, it was even better. So, Paul.
Yeah, I like this. I like this whole thing with Eric Young and Joe Doring. I like how Eric Young is still, he was the champ, but he's still being pushed in this, like, in the sense that, his whole gimmick, his whole, like, the world, it doesn't belong to them. It belongs to us. We're going to take this over. And like I said to you, it's almost like a new sanity but I feel like at least here in Impact it's going to be treated legit. Because, Scott D'Amore, he's in charge. Who was his boy back in the early days of Impact, with Team Canada, Eric Young. He's not going to screw over Eric Young. This isn't Vince McMahon with Sanity. This is going to be treated as a legit faction. And this match with Rhino was just to get them over. It was like, no offense to Rhino. I love the guy. I love him and Heath. Heath is my boy. But, they weren't, he wasn't going to win this. And, and they attacked Heath. That was kind of the major storyline. And he's still done, I guess, from that tournament. Or that Battle Royal or whatever.
I remember that he got injured. Yeah.
Yeah, he's still done. So this was, again, like I said, just to make, this new group look good. And, at the end of the thing, it's like, oh, but Jean-Paul, a group, it's only 2 people. No, because because the Deaners came out, and then who is that? Is that
Cody?
Yeah, Cody, he looked at his cousin, and he's like, well, they had the mask, and, Eric Young was going to use that loaded mask, whatever, to knock out Rhino, and then Cody Deaner grabs the mask, and he's like, I'm not a loser, or something like that. He's like, and then he, takes out his cousin. So then, Eric Young kind of looks at him and he's like, that's right. He's like, yeah, that's right. So then, he knows that, he agrees that the world is not for theirs. It's, it belongs to them. And so he's going to be joining this group. So that's cool. You got Eric Young and you got 2 rednecks, a cowboy, and then, cousin Cody here. So, Eric Young and the rednecks, the new Sanity. I think it'll be pretty good. I would like to see maybe like a gear change for, cousin Deaner here, maybe not coming out in the Austin 316 ripoff shirt, but but this was good. Then obviously he hit Rhino with the mask. He wins. Like I said, nobody expected Rhino to win this thing, but that's what a lot of these like maybe filler matches did. The matches themselves were kind of shit, but just the story and progression of everything. It's like, okay, yeah.
But like you get your fulfillment towards that. Yes, and like you said, these guys, when you're like a loser, you don't win on regular TV, you're kind of like on the bottom on the card. Things like that is like, hey, you can easily join like a better group, or like you can form a group, and then you become legit. You become better, and then you kind of become bigger on the card. So that's what they did, and good stuff for Eric Young. He needs that to go and challenge Rick Swann one more time.
Eric Young, to me, like when he has this group, let's say maybe they're going to add like I mean, literally copy Sanity. Now you have the 2 guys, add a woman to the group, have it be 4 of them, even 5, but no more than 5. I feel like once you add like 5 or 6, then it goes into like retribution territory where there's too many people, we don't care. So I would say maybe just add 1 more. But then Eric Young could easily be the champion again.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
With that group behind him, I think would be
he can have like enough leverage to go and challenge like Rick Swann one more time. So now let's go to X Division territory, Paul. And this is like the Rajid Rahood challenge. And this was a good match. And like the person that actually came out was Manic. But Manic, like, we all knew who he was, and that happened to be TJP. This was like, for me, the match of the night, meaning match quality, in-ring ability. These 2 guys like spit it up. But the one thing that I want to say when it comes to like AEW, and not just comparing, I'm not trying to compare anyone, any company in the like industry right there. I'm just trying to say is like these guys gave us wrestling. These guys gave us like legit wrestling, but also like the speed of it was really good. TJP is like is a really great wrestler. That's why he was the inaugural cruiserweight.
Yep, I was just gonna say that. Yep.
That's why. Rajid actually like convinced me that he's a good wrestler too, because I was just like under like a Jinder Mahal wannabe, one of those categories. But no, Rajid gave me like a good match, and like I said, like the sequences, it was like they were really good. Every little sequence came out really great. Like I said, Manic, even like TJP fighting with a mask, which is very difficult to do. I respect that from TJP, and like this was like really good. And like the last sequences of the match, they were about to hit the ref, but neither one of them did it. Like there were a lot of spots that they were about to hit him, and they were able to stop it before they hit him. And then like TJP just like, Manic just roll him up, and then he gets the win, and that he ends like the Rajid Rahood like his reign as like an X Division champion. I think that he's gonna regain it pretty soon, but at least they do this to kind of make the pay-per-view a little bit more interesting, at least in my eyes. Let's hear from Paul.
Yeah, I think it'd easily do that because he could be like, well, that's clearly TJP, and I said, my challenge wasn't going to be for him. I don't care if he had a mask on and a different name. Maybe they do a rematch. Maybe somebody helps out, Rojit. But I really like this match as well. This is definitely the top 2. It might even be the best match or my favorite match of the night. I did like, the last two matches on the card as well. But this was good, and I agree with everything you said about Rogi. It's just like, okay, this guy, he comes out here on the Desi Hitman, I'm legit, but then you actually start watching his matches, and you're like, this guy can go. Yeah. Like, this guy's really good, and I liked his character, with just like how he was. It's like, oh yeah, Jordan Grace beat me. No, bitch, it wasn't for the title. It was just, a match. And then they had that like 6-way match, and he regained there. And, I don't know if he's going to retain it right away or regain the title again right away. But, if he does, I wouldn't hate it, because this guy won me over, these past couple months as champ.
Yes, and that's the one thing, is like he was able to at least keep his championship, but he has good matches also. We cannot say, oh yeah, for example, Sammy. I'm not shitting on Sammy. I'm just saying, Sammy wins it like a bullshit way. You remember yesterday when we
that's a good comparison though, because they're both kind of that bullshit, like kind of cowardly heel, but like when the bell rings, if they're forced to go, they can go.
Exactly. So like that was a good stuff. So now let's go now with like Moose. Finally cutting a promo. At the beginning he didn't want to talk, but that's why you see in the picture. So I forgot my promo. No, he didn't forget. He's just hinting at Rick Swann. Like right away what Paul mentioned, like he was already booking, like his mind is always booking. Like he said, Moose and Rick Swann, that's the money match. We don't care for Kenny Omega, because we don't know what Kenny Omega is going to be doing. Kenny Omega, for the people that thought that like he was in the building and everything, he was not. He's actually fighting Laredo Kid at Triple Mania. So that was already pre-taped. So for everybody that wanted to,
that's why throughout the show everybody just went into the big party van to party with them. Did we ever see Omega? Did he make an appearance?
No. Yeah. But like the promo was really good, and he's actually talking about Rick Swann and saying that the Impact Championship is actually the second and most important title in Impact. Is actually his TNA Impact Championship is the most important. So I like his presence. I like the suit. I like how he portrays himself, and I cannot wait to see this match taking place. I'm pretty sure that it will be a hard to kill. It cannot be Genesis. I'm just saying it has to be like a big pay-per-view. Moose against Rick Swann. So
yeah, and even if they wanted to do, because those pay-per-views are so close to each other, obviously, like you said, only a week apart, you could do the match at both. And maybe that would be kind of shitty. It's like, how often do we want to see it? But it could end in a bullshit way, and then the stipulations get higher for the next pay-per-view, and then I would have Moose obviously win the second match. Have both belts, unify them, and I'm almost agree with what he says. How the TNA belt means more, because TNA I think has the more legit history than when they went over to Impact. So I mean that's kind of cool. It's like, which title has more history and is more legit, the WWF or the WWE?
Oh yeah, it's true. It's the WWF. Yeah, it will be. You could easily go to that and say, hey, that's the Stone Cold held. The more
like Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, the
legit guys actually were the ones that held that, instead of like the ones that right now Roman. Like Brock, whatever. But anyway, so let's go, like, good promo by Moose. Let's go to, like, Knockouts Championship match, Deonna Purazzo against Rosemary. This was put on, in, like, 1 week. So, like, there was no story behind it. There was no bill. It was just, like, of course we need a marquee match to sell this. And, of course, we're going to use our champion, because Deonna Purazzo is on fire. Everybody thinks that, like, she's right now, if not the best woman in professional wrestling, at least in the top 3. In professional wrestling, so they had to put her against somebody. Let's use Rosemary. And I think they're going to start hinting at a different feud thanks to the help of Rosemary, but the match quality of this was not good. Out of all the matches that I've seen Deonna Purazzo, and even Rosemary, this was actually pretty bad. I think it's a little boring, quick, nothing interesting. There was no excitement behind this. So, let's hear it from the best booker in the business.
Yeah, and I think it's because, you have the team of Ty and Rosemary. They're still in the tournament, I believe, correct?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. So, that's their main focus. Why would they, and again, I'm speaking in the world of kayfabe here. That's their main focus. Why would they care about this match? Like you said, it was thrown together last minute. And now, speaking in the world of, not kayfabe, did anybody think Deonna was going to lose? She just regained the title from Su Yung. What, is she going to lose it here? No, this was just put on the match, or this match was just put on the card, rather, to just be like you said, oh, here's Deonna, she's legit. But sometimes you don't need to have your champion wrestle all the time, even if it is a network, spotlight or network pay-per-view or network special or whatever. Like we said, what's so legit and what makes these people feel legit on NXT UK? We don't see Walter every week. But when we hear, and we hear the music and we're like, oh, this is badass because we don't see him every week. Maybe Deanna would feel a little bit more legit if we wouldn't see her, every episode of Impact or, every, network special, pay-per-view, whatever. So, I mean, this did nothing for me. Like you said, this wasn't good at all on both women. And we know they can do better, but I feel like it's because they knew this match was bullshit to begin with.
Yeah, well, I mean, the outfits for Deanna did a lot for me. That was like my selling point. But like, see, like even like the sequences, like you said, it was quick. Now Rosemary kind of never got like the opportunity, never started dominating the match. Deanna throughout the whole thing, like dominated with the arm bar, like isolating the arm, trying to create more tension to her. And Rosemary kind of got a little bit of momentum towards the end. She hits the Red Wedding. That's one of the signatures. But then Kimberly pulls out like the ref, and then Taya Valkyrie, that was also ringside, she starts like saying, hey, what are you doing? Don't distract him. And that allowed Deanna to hit the Cosa Nostra. And that's Italian for, like in English, will translate as our thing or like my thing. That's like her finisher, the pile driver, 1, 2, 3, and she retains. So, I mean, like you said, this was not a good match. I would much rather like not see Deanna at all, or maybe something different with Su Yung, because that's the main feud for me. But like I think they're going to step away from that feud for a little bit. So Deanna retains. We can see that picture right there. But like, what do you think? Like I saw like a little bit of tension with Taya Valkyrie. So I think that could be the feud after this. Because like, Taya was like the longest like Impact champion of all time. So I can see them having a match in like a Taya Valkyrie fashion as she's the babyface.
Yeah, and that could happen, or they could even do something where, Taya and Rosemary, I think, also have to have their match at some point. I feel like the tension is going to split there. Maybe they lose the finals of the tournament, and then maybe it's, it's somebody's fault, let's say, maybe whether like then Taya blames Rosemary or vice versa, and they have a feud, because I feel like that tension's going to break. But if not, and, let's say they win the tag belts, and they're like, both and they feel legit, then you could easily do something like that. Taya as a babyface going against Deanna. I think that would be good. And then obviously she has Rosemary in her corner to counteract Kimberly. So yeah, so I mean that would be good. And I feel like there's nobody who they're really building up in that women's division. It was Kaylee Ray. She was the one, okay, they're building her up, gonna go against Deanna, and then I'm leaving wrestling again. And the only reason I go and make fun of it is because fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. How many times are you gonna keep getting opportunities and leaving? So
and it's true though. Like I mean, like that's the main thing is like they're suffering right now because they don't have, like you said, like a potent, like a big baby face that can go with Deanna. Because like Su Yung, yeah, it's cool, but like you said, it's not a character that can easily be like related with babyface. And now they need Taya because Taya she can play both. So we'll see what they do on that. But like you said, outside of them, maybe the only one that sticks out to me, maybe Jordynne Grace. But we've seen that already. So I don't know they're gonna.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think they needs to be somebody new. Like Deanna was new. They brought her in, boom, champion. And she was legit. So and then it's like, oh, they don't want to go back to the same olds. And, Tenille's back, but then she's obviously heel, so there really isn't anybody.
Yes, like they need to really give us somebody like...
They'll give it to Jazz.
Oh, well, and I wouldn't be surprised, knowing, like, sometimes wrestling, Jazz, like a returning Jazz. Yeah, that's great. So let's talk about, like, Kenny Omega was also featured on this show. Like, you see Carl Anderson or Machine Gun, like he actually went into the band, like he was allowed to be in there. There was a little promo before that, and he actually like sat down with Don Callis and Kenny Omega, and they were remembering the days of like New Japan, remember like the G1 with like Kazuchika Okada, one of the best matches of that year. So it's like kind of they start roasting him a little bit. So Carl Anderson is like, so he's going to have a match with Ethan Page that we're going to talk in a little bit. So it's like, you're supposed to just beat him in like less than a minute, right? And he's like, well, so it might be more than 1 or 2 minutes. And they start roasting him even more. But he's like, you want to see the machine gun? You want to see the machine gun? Yeah. So they hype him up. And like you see that like at least Kenny Omega is going to be featured on Impact a lot of times. He is going to be frequently like portrayed there. So we'll see what they do. Another report that I told you is also like he's going to be main eventing some Impact pay-per-views. So that's really cool. Like the alliance between AEW and Impact is not completely like lined up yet, or like the guidelines or what's going to happen. We're not really precise on that. But at least, having Kenny Omega like a promo right here, I think it enhances the show a little bit.
Yeah, well, this does a lot more for, obviously, this benefits Impact, and AEW really doesn't get too much from it because I don't think their viewers are going to go up or anything, but it'll definitely add more viewers to Impact. And like you said, this was definitely pre-taped. This wasn't live because Kenny Omega, wasn't there, but at Triple Mania. So, I mean, this was okay. This was cool. But the thing that's really going to get me excited is when you have Moose win both belts, and then you have Kenny Omega come out on stage with Don Callis, and they just have to stare down. That's what will get me. This sitting in the van, just jerking off, playing your video games, with a picture of your uncle on the back counter there. That only will get me 1 or 2 weeks. After that, I'm like, we need to see something more.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Like that's what they need to do. But like at least seeing Kenny Omega a little bit. And like when of course they said showing the AEW championship, it's just that's what they're doing it to kind of like go after WWE, and kind of they're doing it. Now let's talk about this. This, like you said, this was a pretty good match. Carl Anderson going against Ethan Page. You see a lot of tension between the North. Like there's like if Ethan Page would have won, they would have won. They would have got like a championship opportunity for the tag belts. But in this situation, they had a pretty good match. Carl Anderson is pretty underrated. I want to hear your thoughts on that because like he always has pretty good matches. And maybe he's a little small in the Daniel Bryan category, Adam Cole, but like match quality and skill, he's absolutely amazing. He delivers a beautiful spine buster all the time, and I would say between Luke Gallows and him, he's the better wrestler. He's just he's not a staller like as big as like Gallows, but other than that, he's a pretty good wrestler. I will say that. So like the match they gave us, really really good. Tension between both sides. Luke Gallows was not there, so like you see that like he didn't have any help. But in the end, he wins. So let's hear from Paul.
Yeah, I really like this. This is, one of them. What you said, the cruiserweight match was your favorite, or not cruiserweight, X Division match. Excuse me. Let's call it legit. But this was right up there for me for a really good match. I like this. I agree with everything you said about Carl Anderson. I think he's way better than Luke Gallows. No offense to Luke Gallows, but I just think he's the better wrestler, and he is underrated. But in a singles match here, we really got to see him showcase his talent because he wasn't, splitting half the time with his partner. Ethan Page is really good as well. And this is a match where I liked it because not only was everything in ring good and the right winner we got, but also there was story afterwards. Because, the North, it looks like there's trouble in paradise. Are they going to split up the whole time? Is like, Josh said it perfectly in commentary. He's like, this is just awkward. Because you just have, Ethan Page is like, this is, everything's okay. Like we're good. We're all good. Everything's okay. But you clearly see the North they're done splitting up, and it's not good. So, I mean, how the mighty have fallen. The longest reigning Impact tag champs to now maybe not even a team anymore.
Yeah, well, that like the one situation is like the intriguing part of it is like Ethan Page's contract expires really soon. So what's going to happen? Let's say, for example, like he goes to AEW, right? Well, they have the alliance with Impact, so they could easily he could still be featured in the North, not as frequently, but like a few, for pay-per-view, for a few shows. Maybe if he goes to,
I'm going to be honest with you. Now I think both these guys are better wrestlers than the team I'm about to compare them to. But if you split them up and go singles, this is Otis and Tucker.
Oh yeah,
because they're better as a team.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we'll see what they can do though. Like a lot of people have a lot of faith in future in Ethan Page. I can tell you that a lot of people talk about Ethan Page as like the next best thing, or like a future Adam Cole, in that category, like great matches. And you saw a different side of him because, of course, Carl Anderson won. He did like his finisher. I think it's a cutter that he does. And then you saw like how, like you said, like it's all good, it's all good. Like he completely broke down. It's not the Ethan Page that we see with we're champions, we always win, it's good. Like when Josh Alexander took the jacket off and said, it's done, and he started walking away, and you see like, daddy.
Oh yeah, there was no the all ego Ethan Page. He went from the all ego to like all wimpy. Yeah, and it was like all bullshit. Yeah,
all bullshit. But like, see that. So it shows that like if maybe he's leaving, like he could change his character, maybe new gimmick, or like I said, if he signs with AEW, easily he can still be featured on Impact. So
the only thing, if he is done, and this is, I don't know how soon he is done, but have a feud with the two of them. Yeah. And then look legit. Don't have the last moments you look like a sniveling pussy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like go out like a badass. If
you live legit, you don't just like, but like we'll see what happens with that. Josh Alexander is also like a pretty good wrestler. I don't know if they're gonna, like I said, completely break them up. If they do, it's because Ethan Page is not resigning. That I can tell you. There's a lot of rumors. WWE, AEW wants them. New Japan wants him. So the guy's gonna be.
But the only thing though, like think about that. That would be like if somebody would be like, "Oh, Jean Paul, we want to offer you a contract." I'd be like, "Oh, okay. Well, Juan's getting one too, right?" And if they'd be like, "Well, no," then I'd be like, "Well, then no." That would be like, you want to take the Rock and Roll Express, and you're just like, "Oh yeah, just give me Ricky Morton." And it's like, "Well, what about Gibson?" No. Yeah. It's like, well, no.
I appreciate Paul's loyalty.
You know what I mean? Like that's what I don't understand how like how these guys were a legit team, and the contracts don't like match up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that just seems weird. Or how like Ethan Page would even be like, "Oh yeah, let me go somewhere and like screw you, Alexander." So I don't know.
It's for example like FTR. They go as a team.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
So like you see the two sides of the spectrum, right?
And especially because they were calling out FTR that you bring them up. They said, "Oh, we want the match. We want to see who's the most legit team." So hopefully this is just storyline and they maybe get back on track, but we'll see. Or they just are going to do a singles run and then get back together.
Like you said, like I just mentioned. Remember, like if they let's say one of them signs on for AEW, hey, they still have the alliance, or maybe like it's like, hey, we're going to be here for a few months, and why don't you join? And then we could do it a full-fledged on AEW. Maybe, Like,
yeah, that's true. They could do something like that.
Like the alliance, like it opens up a lot of doors, and that's really cool. Let's go to the main event for the Impact Championship match. Chris Bate challenging Rick Swann. This was another good match because two guys are the same size, like same level of athleticism. Kind of like this. If you can easily call this an X Division Championship match, right?
Oh, yes.
Former X Division champions, both of them, but like this time fighting for the precious like gold or the belt of Impact. This was a pretty good showing. We know, like you always said, on this kind of shows, the champion is not going to change hands. It's going to be the same guy. He's going to retain. But at least for Chris Bate here, he can say that he had an opportunity for the Impact World Heavyweight Championship. So this was good. Rick Swann is still getting a few more wins. Like you said, I'm not really decided yet who's going to challenge Kenny Omega or who's going to have that champion versus champion. I don't know if it's going to be Moose or it's going to be Rick Swann. But the match quality that they gave us here, it was pretty good.
Yeah, if you're going to do that match, I would rather have, because of, to talk about a future match before talking about, this one that we got here, if they are going to do that, have it be against Rich Swann, because you're probably going to have Omega go over. I wouldn't want to see Omega beat Moose just because it's like, you're not going to invite somebody from another company and beat, the most legit guy you have.
Yes.
Because then that makes you look like it makes all your guys look like crap, I think. So hopefully if they do it, no offense to Rich Swann, but I think Moose is the number one guy. If I'm ranking, doing the power rankings on Impact, even though he doesn't have the belt or, the main belt, I'm ranking him as number one. But this was really good. I do like Rich Swann. I like the whole story, back when he first won the belt. But now it's like, okay, he's not fighting from behind. His leg's not done. He's normal. He's good. I feel like there really hasn't been that legit of a feud with, for him. Then it's like, oh, let's do this with Sami Callihan, this, Ken Shamrock thing, and let's do all this stuff. But there hasn't been anything legit. I feel like the only legit thing is what happened after this. This is going to be the first legit, feud he's going to have after Eric Young.
And then the one problem is, like you said, these shows are like put together so together from each other, so close from each other. So it's like, not even like 2 months, not even like 3 months, not even like a whole month that you can build something. It's just like 2 weeks. Oh yeah. Who do we have for like Swann? Oh yeah, put this guy or put this other guy. So like they don't have enough time for them to cook something. So that's the main issue. But like you said, he ended up like hitting like his finisher, like the Phoenix Splash, 1, 2, 3. Chris Bate tried to do his finisher moves, ended up not hitting any one of them, and then he wins. But after that, Moose comes out, and Moose actually hands the championship to Rick Swann. So you see this beautiful picture right there. Both championship belts, like Moose is held in both. He has the suit on. Don't you think? Right there is just like, that's the money match. Right there, marquee. We are waiting for, like, I cannot wait to see that.
And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it with Genesis, and, if they want to do something crazy, you maybe have Kenny Omega beat Rich Swann for the Impact World Heavyweight Championship, and then the following week, you book Moose versus Omega, and then you have Moose go over. Now, I don't know how they would feel about, AEW. Will they agree to have their champion lose on another show? But, I mean, if you really want to put Moose over, that's the way to do it.
Oh, yeah. And
then Moose, and then that's how Moose can win both belts.
Yes, and that will be fun. For that they can always like play, like, for example, easily Jon Moxley shows up and then he knocks like Kenny Omega or something, and that way you like keep your whole feud in your own company and you help this other guy to like
exactly.
You could easily do that. Something like that. It will be absolutely amazing. Imagine having on an Impact show at a main event have John Moxley and Kenny Omega. Like playing the factor on like the Impact Championship. So that's right there is like maybe if you allow me to book for a little bit, that will be the thing. But like at the end, he retains the championship. It's all good. Like we said, the main feud I think is going to be Omega and him, or like hopefully Moose and Omega. I'm looking forward to that. But like this is the time. Moose like handed like the Impact Championship, and we get to see like this is cooking yet. So this was like what we had for the show. I want to say like I think it was like we said, it took us a long time to get there, but at least when we got it, it was actually good. So this is what we have for Final Resolution. We close the year with Impact. So Paul, remind everybody where they can find us in the social media world, please.
Well, you can find us from Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, the original Rope Break on Instagram, and of course, right here for the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the original Rope Break.
Family, thank you so very much. Don't forget, the only favor that we ask, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. We're always putting content. Next week, we'll close the year with WWE. After that, we have the Slammy Awards, and Jean-Paul and I are going to be talking about the best of 2020. We're going to go with like all the awards. The Road Break Awards are back. We did that last year, so they will be back with like more content for you guys. So, Jean-Paul, you and me have one more thing that is left to say, and that is...